Welcome back to Real Talk with KMG. So I know that there has been a lot of changes since the, what was in August, there was the changes with the Real Estate Commission. I think we're really just now starting to see some of that come into effect. And we've definitely implemented those changes with our sellers. And I know a lot of agents, we're seeing them kind of struggling on that side, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, everybody seems to have a different idea of what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely think I've always said you need to interview your listing agents for sure. You should definitely interview your buyer agents. But I think that a lot of sellers are leaving money on the table by not having a strong listing agent that has a thorough understanding of how that should be handled.
Where are you seeing that money being left? Like, what do you mean when you say that?
Yeah. So right now, we will go on a listing appointment. I'll go on a listing appointment, and I'm going to negotiate my listing commission. You know, we're going to sit down. I'm going to say, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, I'm going to charge X amount commission for me to list, market, and sell your home for you. And my agreement that I have, you know, with Keller Williams and with Keller Williams, that listing is held with Keller Williams. I represent you as a seller, and that's the commission that we're going to agree on, right? A lot of agents are still kind of doing it the old school way where they're going to actually sit down and negotiate the buyer's commission at the table. And I think that's where they're leaving money on the table, because essentially what's happening is, and it's always been this way, right? Where a buyer is going to meet their agent and they're going to say, you know, Mary Grace, happy to work with you, go find you a house. My commission is X percentage, okay? And you essentially are responsible for my commission when we find that house. Here's the thing, as a seller and a seller's agent, I don't know what you have negotiated with your agent. So why am I gonna right off the bat automatically offer you, say, 3% or 2% or 5% when you very well could have negotiated a totally different amount with your buyer, and it could be lower than what I'm offering from my seller.
So I know that some buyers agents, or just agents in general,
Yep.
are expecting to know what that percentage is before offers are sent, or they
Yep.
even talk about negotiations for a contract.
100%.
What are you seeing with that kind of, have you run into that before?
Yeah, absolutely. And so you could call me and say, you know, hey, Kimberly, my buyers are interested in 123 Main Street. Are your sellers offering compensation? And, you know, I definitely do believe that buyer compensation is still important. I think that buyer's agents absolutely have value. I'd love to work with great agents. So what I'm going to tell you is, yeah, we are offering compensation. That compensation is negotiable with the offer. You're going to, you know, bring it to me. So go ahead and send me your compensation. I'm going to present it to my seller, and then I want to know the details of the offer, because my seller can't necessarily know what they're going to pay a buyer's agent until we see the offer, right? And so here's what's going to happen. You're going to present buyer's compensation to me. My seller's not going to sign it until we actually see what the offer looks like. And then it just depends, because you could ask for 2%. Why am I going to automatically give you 3% if all you're asking for is 2%, right? And if I'm automatically giving out a certain amount when you're asking for a lower amount, I've just sold money out from underneath my seller that doesn't necessarily have to be paid out. Or I'm going to give out a higher percentage to the buyer when their buyer's lower, the buyer's offer could be lower than what my seller's able to pay, right? And so I can't necessarily know what my buyer's capable of paying in compensation until I see what the offer is, because I can't give my seller a bottom net until I see what the offer looks like. So I definitely think that you need to make sure you're interviewing a listing agent, make sure they understand the way that commissions are structured. Now keep in mind, this is South Carolina, North Carolina, which is where I'm licensed. This could vary based on what state you're in, but the way that our rules are structured is we simply have to present it. It does not have to be signed and sent back. And I think there's a lot of agents that just aren't quite understanding that it doesn't have to be signed and sent back. So just make sure that you have an agent that understands the process of what it's supposed to be.